Back to Sports Rock. This segment, we're going to talk about baseball. We're in the playoffs right now. Real quick before we get to this part concerning baseball, it'd be interesting to hear real quick how the guys right here, real quickly, what you thought of the new format as far as another wild card team coming in. Although it's a one and done.
I like it. Hey, anytime you can play more baseball games, I'm all for that. Hell, I wish there was because there was a possibility of a couple of divisional ties. You would have seen a sudden death playoff game before you even got to the sudden death wild card game.
Absolutely.
We didn't get that this year. But hey, all the more teams in, hey, I'm okay with that.
Doug or Chris?
I'm all for it. The only thing is, I would make it a 3-game series, and I would get rid of this home field disadvantage BS where it's 2 games on the road, 3 games at home. I don't like that change. I don't like it at all.
It's interesting you brought that up because I myself was going to bring that up too. I think I think it can be a disadvantage, quite honestly.
Because you're coming home. Granted, you're playing the last 3 games at home, but you could be doing it down 2-0.
Yes.
And down 2-0 in a 5-game series, the opposing team only has to come to your house and win 1 game.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say of basketball, football, and baseball, it's easier to win on the road in baseball than those other sports?
I would say that, like we've discussed in the past, and it's weird because oddly enough, baseball is the only sport where you actually have an advantage by playing at home. You get to bat last.
Right.
But yes, the crowd. Baseball is not as intense of a sport, so the crowd is not as involved. So yeah, I do agree that basketball and football is a more harsh environment when you're on the road. Yes.
Yeah, you don't have the people throwing the ball.
I mean, you saw in and I'll use the wild card games as the example. Both road teams won those wild card games.
Yes.
St. Louis beat Atlanta in Atlanta.
And Oakland beat Texas.
No, the Orioles beat
Texas.
Yes.
In Texas.
The Orioles beat Texas. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll stand behind my comment that it's easier to win in baseball on the road than it is in the
I don't disagree with that.
Well, you're dealing other sports, but still, and yet now this is different than regular season baseball also. So the teams that are playing at home, your baseball fans aren't as rowdy as they are, say, in basketball or hockey and football. But now that you're talking playoffs, they do tend to get a little bit louder. But I can also agree with the comment about it. In baseball, it is easier to win on the road. Mm-hmm. I totally do agree with that in that aspect. But I do not like the format either, though. I just don't like that.
I don't like it. I really don't.
Do you think it'd be an advantage if the team with the best record would have the first 2 games at home as opposed to the last 3?
2-2-1. Or even if you wanted to do...
You need what baseball needs to do.
You can even do
first of all,
1-2-2.
is shorten the season.
Yes.
I agree.
Go back to the 154.
Mm-hmm.
That's about 2 weeks worth of baseball that you give up during the regular season and you make up for. Then you can have that best 2 out of 3 in the wild card.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Because the other 8 games that would be say you played 4 at home and 4 on the road or whatever. Baseball makes so much money. What's the Indians going to lose by not playing 4 less home games?
Right.
Hardly anything.
Right.
They'll make it up back in the revenue of all the pot of the $2 billion contract they just freaking signed for with ESPN and Fox and shit like that.
And in all honesty, the way the Cleveland Indians have played the last few seasons, if they didn't have 4 more games at home, they'd probably save money because they're probably going to lose on them games anyway.
Well, and you're not paying staff to be there.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. They're probably going to
7,000.
Well, yeah, they're probably going to lose out. They're not getting the gate receipts and that anyway.
That's using the Indians as an example now.
Well, it's not just the Indians.
Well, yeah, but if you're playing, you're playing in front of 40 and 50,000 every night, like the Yankees or Boston or whatever.
That's
they might see differently of that.
Yeah, but you can make that up though in revenues.
Yeah,
because they're going to be in the playoffs. So
because if the World Series goes 7 games, it ends up in the 1st of November.
Yes.
That's too freaking late to be playing baseball.
Especially in New York,
well, yeah,
Boston.
You're talking, exactly.
Detroit,
right.
Baltimore.
You're talking in November playing baseball, a bit predominantly warm weather sport. It's not football. Where football is just really good.
Yeah, you're only lucky.
Like,
baseball's only lucky if they get, an Oakland or a San Francisco or a West Coast
Texas
team, that makes it as opposed to the Yankees or Boston. Those are cold weather cities or whatever,
Phillies.
Phillies.
Yeah.
That
Natties.
you're sitting there and you're watching a baseball game and you're bundled up like a football game.
Yeah.
And that's to me that's not how baseball should be.
Well,
played.
and real quick before we get to the picks, and also concerning that too is you're not going to see quality baseball that way either because the players it's not for them either. It's really not.
I realize it's fair for both teams.
Yeah, but it's not. But it is, and it's not baseball. Baseball's not meant.
And
to
you're
be
not gonna see
played
the
cold weather.
long ball. We all know chicks dig the long ball.
Chicks digging the long ball.
Wow, it went there.
All right, now we got the playoffs going here. We'll start the National League. We got the Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals. Right now, that series is tied 1-1. Cincy and the Giants, that is 2-0 with Cincy on top. Go Reds.
Let's just start with the Nats and Cards. See who we think. Let's do it that way instead of reading them all off.
Oh, okay. You want to? Oh, I didn't know if you want to comment.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Or the Washington Nationals and the Cardinals tied 1-1.
Well, it's hard to count out the Cardinals, but the Nationals played great baseball all season long. Even though now they're without their ace, I still think the Nationals are going to pull that one out.
I like the Cardinals. I'm not counting them. They're the defending champions. They know how to win down the stretch. Critical one-game playoff in Atlanta. They got the job done. I just think the Cardinals have that oomph that the Nationals without Strasburg, and this may bite them in the ass. I like the Cardinals.
Okay. Well, my only question in this game is who's the Cardinals manager?
Mike Matheny.
Okay, and
never was a manager before.
And his philosophy came from who?
Oh,
Wasn't he on Tony La Russa's staff?
The end name you want is Tony La Russa, but Mike Matheny actually played catcher for him.
Well, I think that just is carrying right on over, and yes, I will not count on St. Louis Cardinals. No way, no how. I would love to see the Washington Nationals be great, but I will not count the Cards out on this one by no means, and you made the perfect comment. Cardinals went on the road, a one-game must-win in Atlanta, and they won it. Okay, now let's go to the next National League game. Cincinnati Giants. Cincinnati is 2-0 in that.
Here we go, Reds. Here we go. I'm pulling for the Reds all throughout, and I think the Reds will win this series.
Yeah, I like the Reds. They're up 2-0. I don't think San Francisco is going to sweep them. So I like Cincinnati, and I'll tell you what, Cincinnati moves on and plays.
Either the Cards or the Nats, I think they have a chance against either one.
Oh yeah, I think the Reds and the Cards would be a really good matchup.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not against the Reds moving on.
My call. First, I think the Reds, quite honestly, are a better team than the Giants. Where it goes from there, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think they are a very, very solid team. And the Cards and Reds, very interesting matchup. American League now. Detroit Tigers and the Oakland A's. Detroit has a 2-0 lead on them. Doug, what do you think about this one?
Well, everybody laughed at Detroit for most of the year. They're playing in a weak division. They had to come from behind to beat the White Sox. I don't think Detroit's a bad team. They've got a pretty good offense. They're sitting on the Triple Crown winner.
Yes.
And hats off to Miguel Cabrera for winning the Triple Crown.
Absolutely.
The first time it's been done since 1967. And God bless Mike Trout for having a great year. But the MVP of the American League is Miguel Cabrera.
And fittingly so, too. Fittingly so.
They've got a stud number one guy in Justin Verlander. They're already up 2-0. They're going to win that. They're going to beat Oakland.
I absolutely agree. The Tigers are. This is the time to play ball. They're in it. They're playing ball. They're going to be tough to beat. I think they're going to put down the A's. I think when they play tonight.
Yes.
And I think that it may not matter who wins that Orioles-Yankees series. Detroit may very well be destined for the series.
Well, I too. I mean, Detroit has everything they need. It took them a while to get everything going. If I'm not mistaken, I think they had some injuries earlier in the year and that, and they had some humps to get over. But they're playing solid ball right now. And I'm telling you what, this young man he's not just a great ball player, he's just a good person too. And he's a stud, and he will be for a while. Detroit definitely over the A's for sure. And I think who knows what can happen after that. Next up, we have the Orioles, which is a humongous surprise to everybody, I think, and then the Yankees, which are no surprise. Right now, it's tied 1-1, and it's going back to New York, and we all know how hard it is to go in there and win games, especially if you have to win two of them there. That's going to be tough.
I agree that the Orioles are one of the, if not maybe the biggest surprise, though you have to consider Oakland probably one as well, for sure. But, yeah.
No Angels, no Rangers, that's a surprise.
Yeah, well, that's looking at two teams with high payrolls.
Yes.
Of course, you've still got Detroit that's got a pretty high payroll, and of course the granddaddy of them all, the Yankees. And yeah, up tied 1-1, and good for Baltimore. But you've got to go into New York and take 2 out of 3. It's a magical year for Baltimore, but historically speaking, you're not going to take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees in New York.
No.
Not in the playoffs.
Right. I think that in order for the Orioles to win this series, they had to have come out 2-0, and they didn't.
Yes.
So I think it's definitely going to be the Yankees.
Well, what you just said, Chris, I totally agree. They would have had to come out 2-0. Interesting fact, though, Doug, you hit the key word in that, playoffs at New York. Because during the regular season, the Orioles beat them every series in New York. But now it's playoff time. It will be the Yankees. So, okay, real quick, we'll cap this real quick. And actually, who do we think is going to be going to the World Series nationally?
The general unanimous consensus is the Cards.
And well, Cardinals or Cincinnati, I think either one of them. I think that's going to be a great national league.
Oh, you mean for the World Series?
To go to the World Series, yes.
I think that's a great national league championship series. I really do.
I would say Cincy.
What do you think coming out of there? I think that'll be a great one, but
I'm not going to bet. I'm not going to bet against St. Louis. I'm just not.
I'm going to go on the line.
I'll root for Cincinnati, but I'm not betting against the Cardinals.
I hate to bet against them, but okay, American League real quick. Between Detroit?
Tigers. I think Tigers.
Okay. Doug?
Boy, I hope the Tigers win, but Jesus Christ, goddamn Yankees.
I'm going to go with the pitching staff of the Tigers. All right, that'll end it for this. Oh, wait.
We got to talk tribe manager. That's why.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
I thought my producer over here was cutting me short on time.
I kept rushing you because we got 3 minutes to talk about Terry Francona now.
I left us with 3 minutes. I apologize. We can't be doing it. Yeah, everyone knows at this point Terry Francona is the new manager of the Cleveland Indians. Real quick, I guess we're going to have to do this in a very quick fashion. Doug, your call on
this.
I
can make it pretty quick. Terry Francona was a nice hire. I got nothing against him. He's won 2 championships. He did it with Boston, not in Cleveland. They don't have the payroll. They're not going to spend the money. Terry Francona, if they don't have any better talent, I don't care if you're Connie Mack, John McGraw, or Earl Weaver, you're not going to win.
I completely agree with everything Mr. Bagnell says, but I got to tell you, I don't believe Terry Francona came here to lose. I think that he had told Antonetti and Shapiro that in order for him to come here, they have to give him the talent that he needs to win. I think that had to have been a gentleman's agreement done behind closed doors. I like the hire of Terry Francona. I love Sandy Alomar Jr., but I think if they would have hired Sandy, it would have been status quo. I think with Francona coming in here, things may get shaken up. You may see them go out, get aggressive, and bring in some ball players.
Well, my sources tell me that this deal was done before Manny Acta was even fired.
Oh, I agree with that.
And I also feel the way Chris feels. I understand Doug's reasoning here because we know how cheap-ass son of a bitches Dolans are. But I think in order for this to have been done, it had to have been agreed upon that it wasn't going to stay status quo. He needs talent along with the young kids he has here. He's willing to take these young kids and teach them, but he also needs help with good quality talent. And I think that was one of the deals also involved in this.
Well,
I think that was the main selling factor, other than the fact is he has close ties here. His father played for Cleveland. I don't think he come here on a heartstring to coach this, manage this team to a World Series. I think he came here with everything laid on the table saying, listen, no more of this cheaping out bullshit. I don't need the payroll that the Yankees have or Detroit has or Boston has, but by God, I need some kind of a payroll to get some fucking people in the stands and get players on the field. I do feel that was done behind closed doors.
I don't believe Francona is coming here to cash a paycheck and fade away.
No, he was cashing a pretty good paycheck and had a pretty good gig on ESPN.
Well, Terry Francona managed at Philadelphia for about 4 years and did nothing.
Absolutely not.
He didn't start winning until he went to Boston.
This is true.
And they did develop some nice players in Ellsbury and Pedroia and Euclid at the time. But they would also go out and open the checkbook if need be. That has never been seen in Cleveland, nor do I see it coming.
That hasn't been seen. Never is the wrong word. That's not the case with Mr. Jacobs.
Like James and I were talking the other night. The Indians are going to have between Hafner and Sizemore,
Heredia.
Jimenez. You're talking right there's $30-some million off the books.
Well, don't be surprised if they don't re-sign maybe Heredia, Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be surprised if they don't pick up the option on Ubaldo Jimenez. Don't be surprised if they don't offer a contract to Travis Hafner. Don't be surprised if they don't offer a contract to Grady Sizemore.
I'm going to tell you what, right now, you're talking whenever they were pulling all the strings. You don't bring a big name manager in here and say, I'm pulling all the strings and you're just going to take the pieces of shit I give you. I think Terry Francona has a little say-so in what he's going to get now.
I'd cut
He has more pull.
all of them.
Oh, every damn one of them.
I would too.
The four we just mentioned would be gone. Gone. All four of them. And quite honestly, I would lighten the load a little bit. One person I do feel that they really truly do need to keep is Shu Shin Shu. But the only thing is keeping him healthy could be a problem. But
he needs to be traded.
Yes.
Well,
I agree with that.
Trading's one thing.
He's a free agent at the end of the year. He'll be gone.
At the end of this year?
Yes.
At the end of this season?
Yes.
Well, then
He'll be traded.
this
time.
coming season.
2013.
Okay, I thought you were referring to
He's got
this
one
season
more
that
year
just
left
ended.
on
He
his
has one more year left.
He will be gone. If he's not gone in the offseason, he'll be gone by the 31st.
Then right here's the key thing was with him. Then is you're right.
Because he's not going to resign.
Well, then it probably
Scott Boras is his agent. He's going to look for, even if he plays out the season with Cleveland, even if Cleveland is in a playoff chase and he plays out the season, I don't see him coming back to Cleveland.
Well, then here's the key thing, and I can agree with this. What you're
I
saying.
think your untouchables right now are Kipnis and Kipnis and Kipnis. I think everybody else is potentially on the market.
Actually, I would not part with my closer. Chris Perez is one of the best closers in baseball.
Chris Perez will be seen next year eating chicken wings and drinking beer in
Boston?
just like Boston.
Well, then what you're saying is you take back your statement that you thought it was a good hire to bring in Frank.
No, would I take Francona over Sandy? Yes, because I think they needed to make some kind of splash, but it doesn't matter if they don't have the talent. You're not gonna survive with the Shelley Duncans, the Aaron Cunninghams.
No.
Those guys of the world.
Absolutely.
Until I see management make the step. If anybody should have been fired out of all this, though, I would have fired Acta. Chris Antonetti. You cannot be a GM of a baseball team and 3 of the last 4 years lose over 90 games and keep your job. No.
Yeah, I agree.
No.
I do agree with that.
Doesn't happen.
I agree.
I do agree with that.
You better get somebody in there that can recognize. If you want to make big trades, when you trade Cliff Lee and you trade CC Sabathia, 2 back-to-back Cy Young Award winners, and you have basically nothing to speak of, to show for it, nope.
Absolutely.
You're right.
How can you keep your job? How can you keep your job?
I agree with that. I do agree. So basically what we're saying then is, because I agree totally with what you just said, and the fact that Antonetti's still there, Shapiro's still there, now they bring Terry Francona in, basically what they needed to do was sell the team, start all over, and put quality people in there to run it, because that's what they need to do.
Yes,
That's what
they need
to
new
do.
owners, but you can't fire the owners. And
Yeah, you can't.
I don't know if it matters if you fire Shapiro or not. Maybe he's good at crunching numbers.
But it's not,
But the baseball people like Antonetti and your manager and your farm system director
need to be in charge of talent.
I go out and look at the teams that understand young talent. Somebody in Oakland. Oakland makes trades after trades after trades and get young players. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Granted, they're not in the playoffs every year, but they have to absorb. They look at it and say, hey, we can't absorb this salary. Let's make the best possible trade we get. And they get 2 or 3
They play
minor
money
leaguers
ball.
that maybe 2 of the 3 turn out to be pretty good players. Maybe not all 3 of them. It's difficult to say that.
Or you get one stud.
Or you get lucky, you get one really good player. And I mean, Shapiro's defending the Sabathia trade. Well, we got Michael Brantley. He told Bruce Drennan that he'd make the trade straight up, Sabathia for Brantley. Excuse me?
Well, we will discuss this again on the next episode. Believe me, this is going to be a topic we're going to continue on.
It's rock.